Well, we've been covering the GARMA Festival, looking at closing the gap targets and what's being described as a worsening crisis in youth incarceration. We're joined again now by Dan Borsha, who's at the GARMA Festival in Arnhem Land with a special guest. Morning to you, Dan.
Hey Tom, good to be with you, and those are really some of the key issues that have been emerging here and of course in discussion for some months, but have been a focus here at the GARMA Festival. The worsening situation for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children in the Northern Territory and the broader closing the gap targets. We saw that report earlier this week that showed just 4 of those 19 targets on track. Productivity Commissioner has said maybe it's time that if jurisdictions are not meeting those requirements, that there is a change to those funding models. So all of that's in this big discussion. And I wanted to bring in a guest who has been right at the centre of it. Matthew Ryan is chairman of the Northern Land Council. The Northern Land Council, the biggest Aboriginal representative body across the top end, and one of the biggest, in fact, in the nation. And Matthew joins me now. Thanks so very much for joining me, Chairman. I want to get your sense first on a reaction to the Prime Minister's announcement yesterday that was really centred around economics.
Yeah, look, we welcome that from the Prime Minister. We want to see the implementation of the money that he announced, and we want to see PBC in our communities, especially around native titles. We want to see Indigenous people prosper from that. We want to see economic benefits from the money that he announced. We welcome that.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you're saying that you're welcoming it, but the detail just isn't there yet to see how this will play out. Is there a risk, or is there any concern that you've got just about the detail and the way?
There is a lot of risk that we talk about. Is Northern Territory government, even the feds, need to step up and make the Northern Territory government accountable. There's changes to a lot of the acts that we are worried about. Northern Territory coordinator, that they can change any act in the legislation and dictate to our livelihood. We want to see the feds stepping up here also.
What does that look like for the feds to step up? You said that the feds need to hold the Northern Territory accountable. What does that look like?
Financially, where the money's where the money being spent, we want to see where it's really going. In terms of Aboriginal affairs, our affairs been attacked by this government currently. It's appalling behaviour.
You're talking about the Northern Territory government.
Northern Territory government.
And when you're talking about the funding that you don't know where it's going, are you calling for there to be some sort of an audit or investigation?
There should be an audit ASAP. We had enough of need to know basis. There needs to be some sort of accountability by the feds. They need to step in and audit the money where it's going.
And one of the productivity commissioners has called for there to be a review of those funding arrangements if closing the gap targets are not met. What's your position on that?
Look, there should be. And look, nothing's been done in our communities. We're still in the same spot like we were back in the days. There needs to be more accountability and more transparency. At the moment, there isn't any. Money should be spent towards our Aboriginal Pig organisation, where we know what's best for us. We know what to deliver. We know what outcomes we may get if we, the ones, are the decision making for our communities.
Is the Northern Territory government listening to your concerns?
The Northern Territory government are so ignorant, so out of place. Look, we want to see, in terms of moving forward, we want to see Northern Territory government work with us, better engagement. In terms of economics, we want to be part of that. We have a large land base, land sea base. Hey, talk to us. We're not invincible. Talk to us. We're here. We're here to negotiate.
When you say that the Northern Territory government is ignorant, how have they been treating you?
Well, at the moment, we haven't seen any come meet us. And we've recently, so I'll go back, there was a recent full council, Northern Land Council full council. We've invited them early, 6 months in advance. Not one turned up. So that tells you our story. That they don't want to listen to us. They don't want to participate. They don't want to engage with us. They don't want to consult the Indigenous people right across the 7 regions.
What message does that send to your constituents, Aboriginal people across the north of Australia?
Well, it shows you that, my way or the highway attitude, rather than as Territorians, let's work together. We want to see better communication level by this Northern Territory government, come to the table and start, engaging in a way it's meaningful. No talk fest. We had enough of talk fest. Let's start working together.
Time for action, it sounds like.
Action. Actions speak louder than words. That's what we want to see.
The Chief Minister of the Northern Territory, Leah Finocchiaro, hasn't come to GARMA. The NT Minister for Aboriginal People, Steve Edgington, the member for Barkly, is here. Have you had a chance to talk to him and tell him of your concerns?
Look, I have in the background, and look, I think he's one of the probably good leaders in the Parliament as we speak. And if there was a change of leadership, mate, I'd put my hand up and support him. And I wish. But at the moment...
Are you saying you would back Steve Edgington?
I would, 110%. You know, at the moment, there's no leadership within this government. It's all focused around them, not us.
This has been an ongoing issue within the CLP, hasn't it, around the leadership?
Has been.
Steve Edgington, I understand, if you can believe the reporting, has on a number of times sought that leadership. Do you think that's on the cards again?
Look, that's for them to sort out. At the moment, do not support Steve. If he was the chief man, hopefully he can get things done.
And in terms of the situation in the justice system, if I can go there specifically, we've seen a rolling back of the age of criminal responsibility. Just this week, legislation passed on urgency around spit hoods. This government campaigned on an election pledge about being tough on crime. What's the cost of that for young Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people?
Massive. It's traumatising for all Territorians and for the families, the grandmothers. It's traumatising. Kids are getting traumatised within the prison cells. Kids are traumatised being removed from the community. It's appalling behaviour by this government. There's no proper consulting. Again, they're not talking to Indigenous leaders. We have leaders. We have solution-based. At the moment, they're not consulting with the leaders. You know, we have strong leaders like here at GARMA. Have you seen the leadership here? Very strong and powerful. We have that in all our communities.
Northern Land Council Chairman Matthew Ryan, thank you so much for your time this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And you heard just there incredibly strong language from, well, you would have to say one of the Northern Territory's most senior and powerful Indigenous leaders, describing the government there as ignorant, out of touch, not listening, not engaging, not hearing concerns coming from the ground. Incredibly powerful commentary on this Sunday of the GARMA Festival, Tom.
Good on you, Dan. Thank you very much, and indeed, incredibly powerful commentary. Dan Borsche there joining us.